Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to KNDI ATRI Live. So today we're going to begin with a simple thought. Every day we buy food products, be it the ones we purchased from the supermarkets or the ones we are served with at home. But do we normally stop to think about where nutrition comes into play? Or is it just about eating the food? Or does it go deeper to how this food product was produced, how it was processed, the labeling aspect of it, and up to the time when we are being served with it for consumption? So indeed, nutrition plays a very critical role when it comes to farm to fork. So today we are going to host a guest who's going to unpack the role of nutrition science in food value chain system. So welcome, Daktari.
Thank you very much, Laura.
You can proceed to give us a
Good
brief
evening,
overview.
first of all.
Good evening, Doc.
Yes, thank you for hosting me. And from what I'm getting clearly from you is that you are bringing in a thought to the public, which is really a debatable area.
Yes.
Particularly when it comes to the food processing and, of course, the actual science of food.
Yes.
I remember the last time we were talking about the nutrient profiling.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and during that time, a lot of things came out because we were talking about how to know the content of your food.
Yeah.
But now we are catching up with another era of dilemma when it comes to matters of health, particularly on issues of overweight.
Yes.
And this is where now we are looking at food very critically because of the shift from the traditional foods we used to know about,
Yes.
and now to the processed food. And I think the high risk is on the processing side. So today probably I may need to dig deeper into the science of food and specifically within the food industry framework. And when you talk about the food industry framework, we are looking at the value chain of food from field to the industry and also to fork.
Yes.
And we know that quite a number of foods have been processed, and most of them come out in the market area, and they are actually sold everywhere, in the supermarkets, in the retail shops, and sometimes even on the streets in a processed format.
Yes.
Now, with this kind of a scenario which is coming in, it is important to understand the role of food science in food industry value chain. And probably what I may need to start with is the food science. You know, matters of consumption of food basically starts from the food itself. But food is not the final product. We look at food also from the production point. And the value chain when it is transported and then processed to palatable form, which most of our food industries are doing. So a lot of things have been happening in the country. We receive quite a number of processed foods which are all listed in the supermarkets.
Yes.
For example, just last year we did a whole audit of foods with nutrition claims in the supermarkets, where we came up with about 4,900 food products with claims coming from 499 industry players or food companies. Now, no one has ever bothered to find out whether the content of these foods are basically speaking what is the reality in relation to our health. And this is the debated area that I was talking about. For example, many believe that when a food product is in the supermarket and it has labels, and particularly it is marked by Kenya Bureau of Standards, normally using the S mark. And when they see the S mark, they believe that that food is actually awesome.
Yes.
They also believe that it is healthy. Now, if you look at if you make observations in supermarkets when people are purchasing food, for example, very rarely do you see anyone take a minute to look at the labels on the food. You get that?
Yes.
And even those who have gone to school and have studied nutrition, what they do is just to pick food and put it in the trolley and then drive it home and then say, here we are with the food. And they never bother much to read the food labels. So when it comes to the food science, it means that we need to find out how nutrition, which is food science nutrition, can be a game changer in the realm of food processing, so that the public can be assured of the quality, safety, and wholesomeness of foods that we consume in the supermarket. So when we are talking about food science, we see that food science nutrition is a very relevant component in the food industry, particularly when with the KNDI in place, where now Parliament has given us an additional function to look at to actively review food and food supplements with nutrition claims. And also we are seeing again under section 13, of course, J, we are also required to ensure that when the Food and Drug Authority is established, then we actively play a role in the committee that is reviewing food. So we see a potential and more of responsibility to serve Kenya with a hope that we will clarify certain issues that people have ignored for quite some time that are causing much diseases. So this is actually the relevance of food science nutrition in the food industry.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. And one thing that has come out clearly that as normal Kenyans, even the nutritionists ourselves, we do, is we just go to the supermarket, from the shelf, we take the food product and we just put it in the trolley and we go. So now, all of us, we normally see the food labels, and it has come out so strongly in your conversation. Why is it critical for someone to actually get some time and go through the food label before putting the food actually on the trolley? What's its importance?
Yes, I think the most important thing is not even about the food labels knowledge.
Yes.
Because not everybody else who goes to the supermarket understand the labels. When you talk about content of food, for example, you pick a product and it says this product has 0% protein, for example, and it has probably 150 grams of carbohydrates or some minerals and of course some vitamins. You know, a common member of public may not understand those the scientific terminologies that are used on the labels. But I think the more relevant persons that really need to take a critical look at the food products are the professionals, for example, and mainly professionals in food science and technology as well as nutritionists working together. Why am I saying this? If you are an expert, you will get to know how to verify the validity and of course the integrity of a food product on the shelf. And with that, then you can become an ambassador to the public and raise an alarm from your technical and professional perspective. So our aim, for example, as KNDI is to give the public confidence, particularly on matters of food, so that they are aware that some of the contents that are on the labels are actually true from the professional, technical, and also from the tests that we can engage in. And that is why I was saying that this knowledge doesn't need to go to the public, but the assurance needs to go to the public. And who is supposed to spearhead the assurance? First of all, the regulator is there to look at these food products. And that's why I was telling you we have done almost, we have completed the audit for all the foods in the country. Now what is next is the enforcement. How do we engage other stakeholders as indicated in the Act to make sure that we accomplish this process? Now food safety matter is not an easy matter. It cuts across public health, and it's also very specific for nutrition, which is internal. Now, when nutritionists work together with other professionals in the public health sector, we can actually assure Kenyans that the foods they have on the supermarkets are authentic, wholesome, and of course are of high value that would not affect their health. That is something that Kenya Bureau of Standards doesn't do, because for them they look at the conformity based on the manufacturer standards.
Yes.
And that's when they now put a ESMA. For us, we look at what is the relationship between the content of what is prescribed to the human health, and why, if the content is there, how is it related to the different physiological processes in the body that may cause either harm, or again, apart from the causing the harm, we also look at, is it really actual content as would be required in the mixture, or is there some kind of lies that are put on the labels to confuse the public or to influence them to purchase without sound mind. So that is why we really need to get into the food science component. And I want to say this, in the training of professionals, we have a category of nutritionists that are trained as food science nutritionists. This category basically are supposed to be the eye of the public when it comes to food industries. And that is why in our value chains, which we have started recently, and it's continuing at a very high rate, we insist that every company that has nutrition claim must also engage a professional who is qualified nutritionist, and that is a food science nutritionist. Why are we saying that? So that they can help the institutions that are, or the companies that are manufacturing with the knowledge of nutrition and corroborate, confirm, and repeat test to ensure that what is actually on the label is true scientifically, is not false, is also assuring the consumer of their safety and their well-being. So that's why we need food science nutrition in the food industry. And with all the 450 plus,
Yes.
we actually need them to have or employ nutritionists, because all nutritionists have a background of food processing, and therefore their scientific knowledge on the content of food can actually be useful for the food industry. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So it is very critical indeed to our viewers that they've seen ideally nutrition science or food nutrition plays a very critical role when it comes to food value chain system. So now to the viewers that are currently seeing this episode right now, how would you in simple terms just tell them how food science nutrition basically is very critical for them even as a normal mwananchi, though you've also clearly said it is the role of professionals to actually spearhead the process to ensure we have quality, qualified products on our shelves?
Thank you. You see, the best thing that a member of public would do to safeguard their human health or their body from any form of harm is to be very sensitive on the labels. Now, they may not understand what is in the label, but they can ask questions. Now, every consumer can access a nutritionist in the country, or a food scientist for that matter. Every consumer can ask questions directly to KNDI and ask them, we have seen this kind of product which is being advertised and is very, very marketable. People are buying it at very high rates, and we are also using it. We have also seen content on the labels. Can you clarify for us whether that content is good for our human body or it can cause some harm? So you may not understand the content, but you can ask the regulator or those who are concerned with food safety to get correct answers. And that will put the regulator to task to find out exactly why people are buying this at a high rate and why others are asking such questions. So it will allow us now to get deeper into the value chain analysis of that particular food product and give our opinion as experts to the public. And that can help also other members of the public. So you have to take time as a consumer to look at the label and try to ask questions. And for you to ask those questions, you can get to the website and find out from KNDI, Kenya Nutritionists and Dietitians Institute. We see that you have been given a mandate to actively review food. and we need answers.
Yes.
What about this food? And can you tell us something about it in relation to our health? Now, I also want to say something.
Yes.
You know, it's not only the food industry that is very important at this point, but even the hospitals. Now, you know very well that in the hospitals, we are using parenteral foods.
Oh, the supplements, yes.
As food, and mostly people think that they are medicine.
Yes.
When you talk of enteral foods, those are manufactured, modified foods that are being used for high-level intervention in the hospital facility. They are actually processed foods. Many times we have been telling even training institutions that we need innovations like modifying ujis does not need to push us to import. We can actually modify our uji properly here and process it and package it and make our hospitals use them. Yes. And the same applies to parenteral feeds. Now, these are techniques of food science. And when you bring in the component of nutrients, then it is food science nutritionists. These nutritionists are necessary to allow the committee that is responsible for procurement understand the relevance of what they're procuring and the impact that they can cause. So the work of scrutiny and, of course, authentication is a food scientist work in the hospital. So we see that is also an industry, just
yes.
like any other. So we look at this from the industrial companies that process food, and we also look at it from the delivery of food by procurement to our facilities, and what kind of foods are they procuring. For example, F75. F75 can be manufactured at home and packaged. Why must we go and import it from UK, for example, when actually our own students and our own technologies can manufacture it here? The only thing that needs to be done is that the knowledge needs to expand, that we can also manufacture and use it. So I would want to tell the members of the public and, of course, the consumers, when you get into the supermarket and you pick a particular food product of your choice that you love most, please take time to look at the label and see what they're writing. For example, you've seen many times when somebody goes to buy maybe flour for uji. Somebody says this one is a good uji, it has power, so they call it uji power. But then what makes it be powerful? No one understands. So if you try to now ask those who are experts and concerned that are around you, what is this thing called uji power? They can actually expand it for you. And so when you're consuming it or you're going for it, you go for what you know. Even also supermarket. When you pick a food, look at the nutrient content, also look at the claims that it has about health and well-being. And then if you're not sure that you can comprehend it, then you ask the nutritionist who is next to you to interpret it for you. Or you can ask KNDI directly and you'll get a public feedback. Yeah. So that's what I would want to tell the members of the public. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ri. That's very insightful. Following our episode last week where Professor Nguka was able to tell us that one of the challenges we are facing is probably not having enough supply of supplements at the hospital. This is a very good eye-opener. So to everyone, we are going to a short break. Kindly tune in. Thank you.
Distinguished leaders, innovators, professionals, entrepreneurs, and changemakers. This is to bring to your notice that the Entrepreneurs Leadership Initiative for African Development, ELIAD's Global Leadership and Innovation Conference 2026, and the African Prestige 100 Honoris Awards Gala will now hold on the 25th of April 2026. Venue, Safari Park Hotel, Nairobi, Kenya. Time, 12 noon prompt. Chairperson and keynote speaker, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Director General, World Trade Organization. Special guest speaker, Professor P.L.O. Lumumba, Chairman and Founder, P.L.O. Lumumba Foundation, and advocate of the High Court of Kenya and Tanganyika, renowned Pan-Africanist. Dr. Emmanuel Bennett, President Eliads. For registrations, visit www.aspirewestafrica.com. And inquiries, call or WhatsApp on 0806 662 6462. We appreciate your understanding and look forward to hosting you. This event is powered by Aspire West Africa.
Thank you, our viewers, for tuning in up to or staying with us up to now. So now, Dr. Okeyo, today we are going to probably go into segment 2, where we are going to actually discuss impact and leadership. So I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Dr. Okeyo for being awarded under the Aspire, or nominated for the award of African Prestige 100 Honoris Awards, which actually spans around 54 countries in Kenya. Does that make it continental, right, guys? So now, I would love to ask Dr. Okeyo. Reading here at the selection criteria, I can see that one of the requirements for you to be selected for nomination is in terms of leadership eminence and global recognition, where a nominee must be widely acknowledged as industry visionaries. How has your leadership illustrated this?
Continental wide.
Yes, leadership, global recognition. Now that it's 54 countries.
Thank you very much,
Africa.
Laura, and thank you for bringing out this to the public early enough before the award day, which
Yes.
is coming on 25th of April. Very confirmed now that on that day we shall be receiving our award as KNDI. Of course, Dr. Okeyo is taking the lead.
Yes.
But the award is for KNDI fraternity and, of course, our partners that we are engaging with in the training of nutritionists and dietitians. I'm very happy for that, and I'm one of the happiest when it comes to the track record of winning. Of course, I can also say I'm a winner by spirituality, and also I'm a winner by stature.
Yes.
I've won many things since I was born, ranging from being class school prefect in primary and school captains here at high school, and coming all the way to the university, still a leader, head of department, and now I see you. You see, that's leadership.
Yes, it is.
But now for this particular award, I got shocked, for example, when I received a letter that I was spotlighted and I was standing out among other leaders as one who should be awarded this year in the forthcoming Global Leadership Conference, which is from vision to visionary, from visionary to vision.
Yeah.
Now, I want to say that they are not wrong.
It's good to confirm that.
They are not wrong because continental-wise, I think I'm one of the CEOs implementing a Kenyan law beyond Kenyan boundary. What this means is that we are strictly within the Kenyan boundary when it comes to matters of regulating nutrition and dietetics. But because of the nature of our act, we are also impacting outside Kenya. And we have impacted in South Africa, we have impacted in Malawi, we have impacted in Uganda, Rwanda, and of course Tanzania. And of course we have gone up to all the way to Nigeria. You remember we have collaborations which are cutting across Africa, East Africa, as well as in West Africa and South Africa. And if you think of Nelson Mandela, we think of Sokoine University in Tanzania. You think about Bayero University in Kano in Nigeria. And you think about the Council for Allied Health Sciences in Rwanda. Think about Ugandan Dietetics Association. And of course, me as a person, an examiner for University of Malawi, going all the way down to South Africa, where I'm also examining and supervising for Nelson Mandela University. And though, of course, I don't do this as a person, but I also affiliate with KNDI as the institute. So that kind of global relationship can actually be spotlighted. And not forgetting even the fact that we get involved with within our country to advocate for nutrition and dietetics from all sectors in the country. That is actually they were right. Thank you very much.
That's very good. So now, just also to go to another aspect, when it comes to the selection criteria, and viewers, can you listen to this? Candidates must be known for integrity, accountability, and inspiring trust.
Thank you.
So, ethical leadership
Yes.
and value-driven governance.
Yeah.
How would you elaborate that?
Yes, you see, that criteria actually is standing out. And I was examining myself, for example, across all the criterias, and the one you have mentioned actually made me to pause for some time. You know, when somebody talks about ethical leadership,
Yes.
it comes from the word ethics.
Yes.
And that means that it cannot be far again from integrity and diligence. The foundation of ethical leadership is actually on the principles of the Bible, the principles of God. In as much as we go through technical knowledge, know-how of understanding leadership, but we have only 2 commandments that come from the Bible.
Yes.
That is, love the Lord your God with the whole of your heart, and also love your neighbor as you love yourself. If you value those 2 principles, then you cannot steal, then you cannot make false witness. You know, all these commandments that we are told in God are actually guiding our leadership processes. And so when you talk about ethics and integrity, it means that what you do should actually portray the Christ-like nature. And that means, therefore, whatever you handle, you'll handle it with a lot of ethics in it, the principles of ethics.
Yes.
Now, when you talk about the principles of ethics, the most important of all the principles of ethics is actually integrity. You know, those are part of the conduct. Now, when you talk of integrity, then you cannot be unjust for the people you are serving. You can also not cause harm when you talk of integrity. You will always try to do things for the benefit of the people you are serving and the nation.
Yes.
So if they talk about trust, for me, I think we have earned a lot of trust. Even in our inspections that we do for universities and colleges, they always attest to the fact that we are people of higher integrity. Because one, when we go for inspection, we do not eat in the institutions that we are inspecting until the day they get full license. And they have been looking at it like this is not correct.
Yes.
But we tell them that we cannot eat before we inspect you to give you the right score for your institution and approve you.
Yeah.
When you get it fully, we can celebrate.
Yeah.
Also, we don't take bribes. You can come to KNDI, try all your means, but you will never be given anything with the money that you carry. And even if you try, you can be arrested if you're not sure. And we have also looked at when we are doing things with collaboratively, we always maintain the trust among our collaborators. So we always do things that will make them build confidence in us and say we would want to work with these people. So for me, that kind of a culture is ethical leadership. And when I realize that you are not going in the right direction, we stop the relationship so that we can relook at the whole collaboration. That is what is called maintaining integrity and then ethical leadership. And it is all about the truth.
Yes.
It's all about the love. Nothing else can be called ethical if you're not finding it within the biblical principles, which require us to hold virtue ethics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm just looking at these criteria, and we have 15 selections that were used. But even before we wind up, there's this interesting paragraph over here where it states that the award recognizes leaders who tread paths others avoid, those whose decisions require courage, resilience, and strategic daring in terms of boldness, distinction, and executive courage. Wow.
That's a good one. You know,
Yes.
you know that one is now the peak of which actually augurs well with my stature
Yes.
and also my character. The bold character is the character of David himself. Is the one that fights lions.
Yes.
I know that those my peers that we work with, even as fellow CEOs, they will tell you that Dr. Okeyo is courageous and would tell you what he wants to tell you, regardless of your status in the society. If he means to tell you something which is wrong, he will say it, regardless of who you are.
Yes.
We have also seen where people have been scared to execute because of the fear factor.
Yes.
But Dr. Okeyo will move within that fear factor and confront it and do the right thing. So what I know is that I have treaded into paths that are very difficult, and not everyone may want to do that.
Yes.
The number of court cases that have come that have won
Yeah, true.
is evident for that.
Yes.
And even when it comes to things where people would want to manipulate me or manipulate the institution, they find it very difficult to do that, because I will tell them it is not possible. And I don't care whether they are higher leaders above me or not. What I stand for is that when you have a bold characteristic, then the opponent will listen. I have seen cases where even at times we have been tried to be blocked. I remember one of the institutions that we were inspecting, the vice chancellor in that institution had to draw a gun for us. And we told her we are coming back. And so when we went and came back, we confronted the matter. And we told them, you're not going to work like this. The person never took long. They were actually sacked from that institution. I've also seen cases whereby people have tried to put their feet on me, and I still get a way out of it. And they lose out of it. And they will say, that one of KNDI is very impossible. He dares even the impossible. So that daring capability is actually founded on God. Jesus himself was not timid.
Yes.
He was bold and daring, and he would face everything as long as it came. Not only that, even me, I have that spirit of boldness. And my reference is actually the word of God, which is the word of truth. If you are truthful, then you'll build the culture of boldness. You'll dare the impossible. And you can save a nation and save people. So that one, if they use that also to evaluate me, that is my characteristics. And it is not missing the point at all. Thank you very much.
So thank you so much.
Yeah.
As we've come to the end of today's session, thank you, Dr. Okeyo, and congratulations once more as
Thank
you
you very
step
much.
into your nomination. And to our viewers, tune in same day, same time. Goodbye.
Maybe, Laura, before
we
you
wrap
close,
it up, yes.
I would want to thank you very much for bringing up this leadership concept in this discussion for today, which was purely starting as a scientific, it's a surprise.
Yes.
But I want to invite everybody to
Yes.
be part of this process, either in the spirit, in prayer, and physically.
Yes.
I know we are going to celebrate this together with the vice chancellors, principals of colleges, and CEOs, and some of my friends, of course, and my staff, because it's not mine alone. We'll be covering the whole session with media activities, and we want to just tell Kenyans that it's possible to become a leader that is beyond the Kenyan boundary, recognized by other people other than those that are within your own country.
Yes.
So when the spotlight like that comes, it's good for everyone to be part of the celebration in prayer and in the spirit. Thank you very much. So I welcome everybody. They can come and join me in that on 25th of April 2025 at Safari Park. The time is actually 12 p.m.
Yes.
And our own PLO Lumumba will be there, and the Director General for World Trade Organization, when I receive this award. Thank you very much, Laura.
Okay.
And thank you for the chance also to say that. Yeah.
So viewers, you've been invited at Safari Park. So see you then. You're welcomed in terms of prayers, physical attendance. So we've come to the end of today's show.
But coming to Safari Park, they must pay. You did say that. They must They must actually pay it. Yeah, a
Oh,
seat is
yes,
going
yes.
for 30,000 Kenyan shillings. They can pay it through KNDI so that they can secure a seat for themselves, and
You've
we'll
heard
be very
it,
happy.
guys. You've
Thank you
heard
very
it,
much.
our viewers. You need to preserve a table
Yeah.
at 30K
Yeah.
for the gala dinner.
Thank you.
So yes, we've come to the end of today's show. It was very interactive. We've learnt about the role that nutrition science plays, and also we've gone through the 100 Honoris Award. And we've also gone critically and looked at the selection criteria. And of course, you can see Dr. Okeyo deserves it. And congratulations once more.
Thank you.
So let's tune in every Thursday, same time, same day. Goodbye. Remember to eat informed. From your host, Wangara Laura.